Hey everybody, thanks. Pavel, as I said, Bains from co-founder, CEO of Bluezell. We're originally from Vancouver in Canada and moved to Singapore in February 2016. So we've been there for about a year and a half. So that's where our headquarters is, and we also have our R&D team in Vancouver as well. So we've got about a team of 12, 4 people in Singapore for business operations, growing in Asia Pacific, and 8 people in Vancouver on the tech side. So before I get into what we're doing, a little bit about ourselves is, so since moving to Singapore, we've been doing a lot of projects for the banks and insurance companies. So we've got a lot of experience on building big Ethereum projects. Some of our customers have been AIA, global insurer, the banks, OCBC, you guys are familiar with HSBC, Japanese banks like MUFG. We also have MSIG as an insurance customer. So lots of big banks, insurers, and fintech, financial enterprises have been ours. We also have partnerships with British Telecom, which is the big infrastructure company around the world. And we also work with Temenos, which is the core banking system. And we also work with Microsoft as well. A couple things I want to point out is all that work we've done over the past year and a half has brought us some good rewards. We were named by Forrester Research, the big research company globally, as a top blockchain company in Asia. So meaning that, hey, of all the ones delivering good products for big companies, Bluezell is one of them. Also, we were named by the World Economic Forum, the big organization, about being a technology pioneer in 2017, about our vision of the future, where blockchain can be applied, and the things that can be done. Other companies that have been named WF Tech Pioneer were Google, Spotify, Airbnb. So the main thing that Bluezell does is focus on data storage and management. The slide I'm talking about here is really about the big problem we have in terms of data. Everybody here uses apps, right? I'm assuming, and lots of apps. Probably have, I'm guessing, average person here has about 40 apps on their phone right now. Every single one of those apps is moving data with somebody else. So why I bring this up is in just under 3 years, this is what we're facing. We're going to have 4 billion connected people in the world. That's probably almost double what's actually now. There's going to be over 25 million apps. That's an amazing, insane amount. Everybody here knows IoT. Everybody keeps talking about how IoT is the big thing. Well, we've never thought about the data problem behind it. There's going to be 25 billion IoT devices in just a couple of years. If you think about that, if there's 7 billion people in the world, or even let's just go with this, 4 billion connected people, that means for every person here, there's 6 connected devices to us. What that's going to lead to is a mega data storage problem on an exponential scale. The stat at the end shows that there'll be 50 trillion gigabytes of data that need to be managed. So how is that going to happen? The current infrastructure of the internet is not built to do that. We can't be relying on servers that you own yourself. The cloud systems don't do it. The security of the internet, I mean, we're all blockchain people here, so we understand that decentralized internet is better. So the current internet can't handle all that security issues. So a huge mega problem that's coming at us really fast. So let's look at what's happened lately, right? Anybody here familiar with Equifax? So Equifax is an American company that holds everybody's credit scores. Just a few months ago, they got hacked into, and over 140 million data records were stolen. 140 million records of people, personal credit scores, was actually stolen from their servers and taken away. They covered that up for months. Some of the things they're saying here is that these are all headlines from real newspapers. I didn't make these up. Why are companies using cloud storage to keep data online? It keeps leaking. That's a serious problem. Uber just had a big data breach. And what happened there? They're saying there's a massive cover-up as well because it's a serious problem. Now in the US, what they're saying is executives who don't manage data properly and try to hide that it was breached are going to, they want to impart the laws that those guys who hide data breaches should go to jail. Because this is customer data. This is my information, your information, and if executives aren't protecting that and keeping it safe, and if they get breached and they try to cover it up, people are saying that they should go to jail. And then the last one there is like, wait, data breaches right now as a current internet is going to get worse and worse before they get better. So that's why we started BlueZell. You know, we're doing all this work for all these enterprises and realized that as we're building these blockchain projects, that data need to be stored somewhere. Currently, we're using the traditional cloud storage and saying, wait, that's not right because we have all these problems. So we decided that we're going to build a new decentralized database protocol. Something that's built with blockchain principles, blockchain ideologies, and all the blockchain features that all of us here like. Build that into a database, and we have protection for all these things. So now I'm going to play a video about it.
By 2020, there will be over 20 billion devices. But how is so much information stored securely?
If you look on the screen there, you've got the translation. And at the bottom.
Decentralized database services that is magically scalable, secure, and affordable. BlueZell is based on advanced blockchain technology, distributing data across the network to eliminate cyber attacks, guarantee privacy, and scale on demand. Blockchain is the new internet. BlueZell combines blockchain swarms together to create a decentralized network of on-demand databases. This innovation, known as swarm computing, ensures high performance, reliability, and scalability. As a producer, you join BlueZell and rent out your computer hardware as database storage. You are paid for hosting data on all the swarms you are a part of. As a consumer, you join BlueZell to privately store your application data in our swarms. You only pay when you access the BlueZell network. You can even be both a producer and a consumer, accessing and learning from the BlueZell network, creating a vibrant ecosystem. Without BlueZell, data is stored in the cloud, on servers all owned by one company. With BlueZell, data is stored across swarms of millions of computers. No one owns the entire system. Imagine, no downtime, no central point of failure. Swarms of millions of computers, all racing to serve your data. The best of blockchain and the next generation power of swarm computing. BlueZell is the database for the future of the internet.
So let's talk about that. Well, how do we use blockchain and make this a much better system? So in the traditional database model, everything here on the right is the old model. Everything is on one stack. If this breaks, or if an intruder comes here, the whole network is gone and your data can be stolen. And if you're a developer, you can't use this anymore because you can't get your data properly. So now we go to a cloud storage, like AWS, Amazon, what these guys provide. If this load balancer goes down, the network goes down. Everybody, about 6 months ago or beginning of the year, there's a big internet outage problem with like Netflix, Twitter, all the big products, and that's because AWS went down and took down the whole internet. If this gets broken into, then a person could easily probably copy the same way and break into zone 2 and steal more data. And once again, none of this is reliable, it's insecure. So now, let's go to a decentralized model, right? How BlueZell would work is you have nodes everywhere here, all over, and all the data is stored in separate components. And if this went down, it doesn't matter, the whole thing stays alive. If somebody tried to break into here, they couldn't because it's separately it's encrypted, but even if they did, they only got one piece of data that has no meaning. For them to take over the network, just like the Bitcoin network, Ethereum, everything, they would have to take over the entire network to steal anything. So what happens with BlueZell is you've got the highest security, the best reliability, and big scalability. So if you're a small company starting out, you're a DApp, you're a blockchain project, you use a system like ours because it can scale well and keep the costs low. Now let's go into the technology. So there's three core parts to our technology. One, as you probably heard and familiar with throughout the day or in the past weeks, is the whole model of swarming. So we use swarming because that allows us to manage the data better. If we use this universal state where all the data was stored on this one network, then you don't have the speed of a database, you can't grab the information fast enough. By having swarms, you can have a swarm, which is a group of nodes, store one set of data, replicate it all over. You have a different swarm having something else and a different swarm. So what BlueZell ends up being is a swarm of swarms, and I'll demonstrate that in a bit. Second part is 2D partitioning. So what that means is we take your data and just cut it this way into small pieces and that way. So what that means is, in a simpler term, is let's just say I had a Starbucks coffee mug with a logo. I could take that and break it into lots of pieces, and then I would spread that over our entire network, all the swarms. So that means is, even if somebody somehow got a hold of that one data, it's just a little piece. You can't put the whole puzzle together. Going back to our model earlier, to put that entire puzzle, you have to take over the entire protocol of the entire network. And like I said, we're using the same principles as Bitcoin, Ethereum for the security, so basically taking over the entire network would be impossible. And then we use our own forms of consensus, where every time data is set to the network, the swarms of nodes reach consensus that it's correct, it's true, who the real owner is, and then when it's retrieved, when somebody needs to read that data, they go through the same process. So those are the three core technologies to protect your data. So what I'm going to show here is a demonstration of one of those swarms. So this is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about eight nodes as an example on our swarm, which is holding a number of data. The puzzles show how much data is being used by the network. So as you see this, all the data is being written and it's starting to fill up each of these little nodes on the network. Here we're just turning on all the data that needs to be written on the database. So what this means is whether you're using, WeChat, Alipay, everybody has data that needs to be stored somewhere and it has to sit. So what we're saying here is all that data is broken up and sitting on all these nodes. And what's happening is, as you see blue means a new node has come on. Red means something is broken. But the data stays alive. So unlike cloud services like Amazon, if one of the network nodes goes down, you've lost your data or the user can't get the data. In our model, even if a node went down, it stays alive. So what we're seeing here is we're multiplying the number of nodes on this swarm. We went from 8 to 24 just like that. Red means something went down, blue means another node came on the network. But the whole system is still alive. Nothing has happened to any of the data. It's safe, it's easily retrievable, and it's fast. Now, a good way to think about this is putting into real world situations. How many people here have a PlayStation? Right? Or an Xbox? Okay, so let's look at that, right? You have hundreds of millions of Xboxes and PlayStations around the world. They have way too much power for anybody to use. For example, a current PlayStation 4 has 1 terabyte of storage. The average person will not use any of that. Now, people here play FIFA? Right? Everybody know Cristiano Ronaldo? That's right, we all know, right? You look at his model ads and everything. So a game costs about $60 US. You have 1 terabyte of storage. Now EA at the end, they're the guys who made FIFA. What they're doing is when you play these games, they have to store these leads. When a player gets injured, they update the network. If you score a goal with your friends and you're tracking these leads, all that data management of all these games that you play, EA has to store on servers somewhere, probably on AWS or Microsoft. That's a massive cost to them. So what they're saying is, how can we save that? So, Let's apply that same model of a decentralized database to video games. EA would buy Bluezell tokens or coins, just like they buy everything else, so they buy that. They would take their data, and what happened is, let's say all the users, the players, decide that, hey, I'm going to download the Bluezell protocol and put it on my PlayStation, so their home network. So all these PlayStations have now become nodes on our network. They're like a swarm. So, and the player at the end, what happens is EA stores the data of all those leads that are running. So now what's happened? They don't have any cost anymore that sits at AWS. They've reduced their own business costs. All the spare PS4s that become part of the Bluezell network, they're storing that data. And you, who are that player who paid $60 for that game, you can earn a Bluezell coin at the end. So instead of mining for Bitcoin or Ethereum, you can add that, hey, I can make money off my PlayStation. Instead of paying $60 for a game, my cost becomes less and less. So the goal of Bluezell is that it will be a database protocol that will work with everything. So whether somebody's building a project on Ethereum, Neo, Hyperledger, or even if you're not in the blockchain project at all, you could be Facebook, Twitter, you still should use a decentralized database because it's safer, faster, more reliable. But the first version that we're coming up with in the next couple months is primarily for Ethereum. So I'm going to walk through how Bluezell would connect with Ethereum. So step one is, if you're a customer, you're building, let's say, a blockchain project, you would buy your Bluezell tokens on the market, and you would basically put them into your Ethereum wallet. Next, you're going to go apply your Ethereum, you're going to get the Ethereum address of the Bluezell library smart contract. From there, you're going to fund your library smart contract with your tokens, so let's just say it's $100 worth. Fourth, you import the Bluezell library smart contract Solidity interface to it. After that, you put a calling interface to the contract, so now your product can easily talk to our network. And then after that, you're all set up. You're basically starting to make database calls. The main ones are how do you create the data, read the data, update that data, and delete it. So just like any other traditional database system works, we're applying that to the blockchain. So now we're going to talk through one example. So we talked about the PlayStation in a mainstream set. Now let's bring it down to over the next couple months what will happen is using it at a blockchain project. So one of the ones is the 0x protocol. People are familiar here with 0x as an exchange protocol? Yeah. So, it's one of the bigger ones out there. So this is how we're developing the model for them. So in 0x, they have relayers who are constantly taking orders of different exchanges, but they need to keep their order books, their data, in a proper way that it can be organized and easily retrievable. So with 0x, what we would do is create a new database service that they can go to their relayers, their customer, and say, hey, here's a way to run your business better using the Bluezell protocol. So step one is over here, where the relayer would make a read request and saying, hey, I need to find the price of a certain currency out there, and I need to get that from the data. Step two is a Bluezell network. So when step one, the relayer, they connect through APIs to our network. So they can do it through whether it's C++, C#, Python, anything that they do. We want to make it so easy that they might not even, in the future, they don't need to know blockchain. All they do is connect to our database and start using it through APIs. So the Bluezell network gets that request, sends it to the swarm, and then the swarm starts looking up all around using our hash table and lookup table to see which is the correct node on the quickest swarm which is the right swarm and which is the best node on there that we can get this information the fastest and most secure. We get that. The value is returned and it's basically encrypted. So the only way that this data is received they would basically have their own public keys and private keys, just like currencies, cryptocurrencies work. So using the same model how they get their data. And then in step 5, we basically return that data right back to the consumer, to the user. They decrypt it, and then they can continue on. So this all happens in milliseconds, really fast. The goal is that it should be just as fast, if not faster, than what AWS, Microsoft, Amazon all do. But once again, the main thing is more secure, more reliable, and more scalable. Those are the three big things, and protects all our data out there. A little bit about our team that I touched on. So we are a team of 12. We work in Silicon Valley, Los Angeles, work for done projects for Google, Disney, Microsoft. I used to run video game studios. That's why I use that example for Disney. Real experts in machine learning, cognitive science. Like I said, part of the team is in Singapore, part of the team is in Vancouver. We'll probably start setting up offices in other places around the next year. So what I want to point out here is some of our advisors. So building a database protocol from ground up is very challenging. So we've got some real good technical heavyweights going on to help us here. So one is, one I want to point out mainly to is Brian Fox on the far left. He's a CTO of Orchid, which is a VPN, decentralized VPN network. He's also a creator of some scripting language called Bains, which sits on all our Apple computers right now. And he's a big proponent of open source. So we use him because we have a specific open source strategy where we're going to have an entire protocol of ours available open source. Prashant Malik, he was the creator of the Cassandra database, which basically came out of Facebook. So that was one of the bigger distributed databases used in the world, but it didn't really go all the way to a decentralized level. So he's joined us to solve some of those challenges in the vision that he saw before and said, okay, what are the challenges you guys are going to come up with over the next year, and let's start doing that. Also is Alex Levington. He's come on as an advisor to give us feedback. He was a core developer of Ethereum from the beginning. So he's been through all this, and he sees what needs to be done as we move forward. So once again, it's about addressing those challenges, and he can help us design, give us feedback on if we're tackling things the right way, so we can push this technology forward and give that true decentralized database to everybody. So to sum up, why is BlueZell important? Once again, it's not just blockchains that are going to have this data storage problem, because it's really hard to store large amounts of data on the blockchain. But the world is going to have a massive data storage problem. Remember that, in just a couple of years, you're going to have 25 billion connected devices, all storing data everywhere. You have multiple hackers trying to steal that, or you're not even able to access it and easily and safely. Second is, because if you're interested in blockchain in general, then that's whether it's just on the cryptocurrency level, app level, you need to be very interested in the infrastructure that's being built, because none of these apps that we use are going to be any good if the infrastructure isn't right, where people can get their stuff safely, files can be stored properly, the speed is there. Nothing matters unless you build that internet the right way. So it's core to understand all the infrastructure parts. Third is, for us, everyone is a customer. So we're starting just basically with blockchain projects such as, let's say, 0x. But the real goal is, we know that not everything's going to be on the blockchain. There's going to be lots of apps out there that don't use blockchain at all. So we need to protect and manage that data in a proper way. So we go from blockchain projects to mid-sized small developers and even game makers, and then eventually we go to the enterprises, the big companies like the ones that started at the beginning, the Bains. They should move from a cloud system and use a decentralized database to manage all our data and protect it. If you want to learn more about the company, the product, ask questions about how the database works, you can join our Telegram channel, t.me/BlueZell. Join our email list. We're constantly putting out new content to educate everybody about how the system works, how the product is. We got little videos showing how all this stuff works. We have a blog that constantly comes up and talking about the product and how developers can use it. So that's BlueZell, the decentralized database that's ready to solve all their database problems and be the database of the future. Thanks.